Well, hello everybody and welcome to Jeff's Baking Blog. Today I'm going to make a spiced fig loaf cake with a caramel sauce or frosting to pour over the top. And that topping is actually optional because the cake tastes perfectly good just by itself. I got the idea from a website called Bake From Scratch, which seems to be associated somehow with Nordic ware, bundt pans and that sort of thing. And this recipe was actually on their site was actually for a 10-inch by 4-inch tube pan, which is about 16 cups, I think. And I converted that down to a recipe for a 6-cup bundt tin, and I actually made the cake. I'll put a picture on here if I can. And that worked very, very well. But of course it will also fit into a 2-pound or a 900-gram loaf tin. So I'm going to do that today. And the amount of batter we make doesn't particularly fill the tin. It may only go up to about halfway, but it will rise nicely in the oven and make a nice cake. There are quite a few ingredients, but nothing too onerous. Soft dried figs and some chopped walnuts are the main essence of the cake. So you can start off by preheating the oven to 180 degrees Celsius. That's 160 Celsius with a fan, 350 Fahrenheit. And grease and flour a 2-pound loaf tin. Now I've actually put parchment paper in the bottom of mine, but if you grease it and flour it and knock the excess flour out, that should still work perfectly fine. So I'll go on to the ingredients for the cake, and I'll do the ingredients for the caramel later. And for the cake I have 90 grams, which is about half a cup, of chopped soft dried figs, which we're going to process in a moment. 45 millilitres, 3 tablespoons of water, 2.5 millilitres, half a teaspoon of vanilla extract, 175 grams, 3/4 of a cup plus 2 tablespoons of caster sugar, another 40 grams, 3 tablespoons plus 1 teaspoon of light brown sugar, 75 grams, which is about 1.5 medium eggs, which would be 1.5 large eggs in the USA. And I've beaten mine just so that it's easier to weigh out to 75 grams. But you can actually just use 1 egg and then beat another egg and put roughly half in. That will be fine. I have 65 grams, 2/3 of a cup of chopped walnuts, 125 grams, 3/4 of a cup plus 4 teaspoons of plain flour. That's based on scooping packed flour into a 250 millilitre cup. 60 millilitres, 3/4 of a cup of vegetable oil. I have the zest from half a lemon, and then I have 1.5 grams, 1/4 of a teaspoon of salt, 1 gram, half a teaspoon of allspice, 1 gram, half a teaspoon of ground cinnamon, 1 gram, half a teaspoon of ground, and I've freshly ground this, nutmeg. They will give a nice warmness to the cake. Then I have another 5 millilitres of water, which by the time I need it will be warm. It's cold at the moment, but I've got it out just for showing you. To go with that, I have 2.5 grams, half a teaspoon of baking soda, 60 millilitres, 1/4 of a cup of buttermilk, and 7.5 millilitres, 1.5 teaspoons of vanilla bean paste or vanilla extract. So that's all of the ingredients. And the first thing we need to do is to make a sort of paste or a puree of our soft dried figs. And I'm going to do that with my immersion blender. So I'm going to put my chopped figs into a jug and add in the 45 millilitres of water and the half a teaspoon of vanilla extract, And I'm simply going to process those until they're actually a paste or a puree. Now you can do it in a food processor if you want to, but I think it should work just fine with immersion blender. And that's a nice paste. So I'll just put that back into the bowl that the figs were in. So there's my puree. If there's a couple of small little lumps in it, I'm not going to worry about that at all, because there will be the chunkiness of the chopped walnuts as well. So I'll put that to one side just for a moment. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to beat my eggs into my 2 sugars until it's nice and thick and pale. And so that's well beaten. What I'm going to do is I'm going to add into that my oil and the puree, and I'll put my lemon zest in as well. And I'm going to mix those until they're very well combined. That's fine. So I just set that to one side for a moment, because I want to put my nutmeg, allspice, cinnamon and salt into my flour, and then I'll give that a bit of a mix around to get that combined. Like that. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my 5 millilitres of warm water and put it into the baking soda and give that a stir. And then I'm going to put that into my buttermilk, along with the vanilla, and give that a good stir. And I can see that beginning to froth, as it will do because of the baking powder. I'm just scraping out the excess baking powder. And so then I'm going to add the flour and the buttermilk in 3 additions of flour and 2 additions of buttermilk. So I'll put some of the flour in like that, and I'm just going to mix that on a low speed to get that combined. And with it almost combined, I'm going to put in about half of my buttermilk mixture and mix that. And then another third of the flour mixture. And the remaining buttermilk. And then I'm going to fold in the remainder of the flour, and that's just so that I can try to ensure that it's all properly mixed. And so I'm going to put my walnuts into the batter and stir that through, and then I'm going to put that into my loaf pan. And with the batter in the pan, I'm going to put that into the oven, and I'm going to bake it for 40 to 50 minutes, and I'll test it with a skewer. So I'll poke a skewer into the centre, and when that skewer comes out clean, it will mean that the cake is just about done. So I'll take it out of the oven and I'll leave it to cool in the pan for a while, then I transfer it to a wire rack to cool completely. And in the meantime, we need to go on to the ingredients for the caramel frosting or caramel sauce, so I'll do that now. And for the caramel icing or sauce, I have 75 grams, 6 tablespoons of caster sugar, 30 millilitres, 2 tablespoons of water, 52 millilitres, 3.5 tablespoons of double cream, 10 grams, a scant 2 teaspoons of butter, a pinch of salt, and 22 grams, 3 tablespoons of icing sugar. And I'm going to put the water into a pan with the caster sugar, and I'm going to put that on the heat, and I'm going to bring it to a boil, and then I want to continue to heat that until it reaches about 170 degrees Celsius, 340 Fahrenheit. So I've put that on the heat, and once it's reached that temperature, I'll come back and show you what to do next. And so my sugar and water reached 170 degrees. It actually went slightly over. So I'm going to put in 2 tablespoons of my cream, along with my 10 grams of butter. I'm going to stir that around. And that's good enough like that. So then I'm going to let that cool down, and to do that I'm actually going to put it into a bowl, and then when we're ready to use it, I'm going to use the remaining cream and the icing sugar mixed into this to the consistency that I want to go on top of the cake. So I just set that to one side until I need it. and I'll sprinkle the sugar over the top at this stage, and that will get mixed in when I mix the icing sugar in. I baked my cake for 45 minutes and I tested it with a skewer, which came out clean. So I took it out and left it for 5 minutes, then I put it onto a wire rack. And it's still warm, but I've decided I want to put the icing or the sauce on while it's still warm. So this is what the cake looks like, and it did rise up, as I said it would, to just below the top of the cake pan, basically, the loaf pan. So I've got my caramel there, and I'm going to put my icing sugar into it, and I'm going to whisk that around and get that mixed in, and then I'm going to add in my cream to loosen it up to the consistency that I want. So I'll add a little bit of the cream in, and if it takes more than I've got here, then that's fine. I can add some more. And that's quite good like that. So I'm just going to leave that for the cake to cool down just a little bit more, and then I'll come back and we'll put that on top of the cake and it will be ready to serve. So I've left that to cool down, and it's still a little bit warm, but as I said, I've decided I want to try it warm. So I'm going to put some of my caramel sauce over it, and let it run down the sides. And I'm going to leave that for 20 minutes or so, just for it to set up a little bit, and then I'll come back and I'll cut a slice and I'll have a taste of it. So I left the spiced fig cake with the caramel sauce to set up for a little while, and now I've cut a slice of it and I'll show you what it looks like. So here's the slice, so you can actually have a good look at what it looks like inside. So it's a nice dense cake, and I've just spooned a bit of the excess sauce onto the top, and I'll have a taste of a piece. It's very, very good. Has such a wonderful flavour. It's nice and moist. You get the crunch of the walnuts, and I should say you can use pecans, and the original recipe did use pecans if you want to. And you get the sweetness from that caramel sauce as well. So this is actually not a difficult recipe, quite a few ingredients, but it's worth making the effort to make this. And as I said, you can do it in a bundt tin, a 6-cup bundt tin, or you can do it in the 2-pound loaf tin as I did today. And it works perfectly as a dessert, in my opinion. So that's going to be it for this recipe. I hope you've enjoyed it, and if you have, please give me the thumbs up below and click to subscribe to my YouTube channel. In the top right hand corner of the screen there will be an eye that you can click on, and that will take you to a link for the recipe, and I'll put a link below the video as well, and I'll be back with another recipe in the very near future. So until then, happy baking.